Okay, the Durham Report. What I find to be the most bombshell information, much of this we knew, the left just denied, but what I find to be the most bombshell piece of information in this entire report is the fact that in the lead up to the 2016 election, right, Barack Obama is in the White House. His vice president is Joe Biden. The FBI and the Department of Justice were aware of Hillary Clinton's strategy to sabotage President Trump. The Obama-Biden administration was aware of Hillary Clinton's strategy to sabotage Donald Trump, and her strategy was to levy these accusations against Trump of Russian collusion, to accuse Trump of directly colluding with Vladimir Putin and Russian intel in order to rig the election, in order to unfairly win the 2016 election and become president of the United States. Let me repeat. Barack Obama and Joe Biden were specifically briefed by the Department of Justice, by the FBI, by the Hillary Clinton campaign on all of this. They knew about this. The man who is currently in the White House, in the Oval Office, Joe Biden, knew that the Department of Justice and the FBI were colluding with Hillary Clinton's campaign to tell lies about Donald Trump, and they knew they were lies. They knew that this was not true. They knew that this was completely false. Before we even get into the details of all the different allegations, this is the most mind-blowing piece of information. Because there's corruption in the administrative state all day, every day. It's an enormous apparatus. Not everyone knows everything that goes on. But to understand the level of corruption of Joe Biden, who is senile, we make fun of him for it, who is sometimes a kind of likable guy, not that I like him, but a likable personality as opposed to someone like Hillary Clinton, who has an inherently unlikable presentation, an old guy that we make fun of, a kind of likable guy who goofs up what he says all the time. This is not someone that we should simply laugh at, roll our eyes at, be embarrassed about, or mock. This is a man who had knowledge of one of the most sinister acts of government abuse in our nation's history. When Obama's administration weaponized the power of the federal government to try to subvert the will of the people, our votes, they tried to overturn our votes. How dare these people pretend that January 6th was an insurrection, a threat to our democracy, when they weaponized a federal government that they had the privilege to serve in to try to deflate our votes, to try to steal our votes from us. And they knew these allegations were false. They knew that all the allegations Hillary Clinton was levying at Trump, they not only knew what she was going to do, they knew the content, the substantiation or lack of substantiation for her allegations. This is what Durham writes. Neither the U.S. nor the intelligence community appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion in their holdings at the commencement of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. And nothing. It's actually mind-boggling. Like, I'm reading this and I'm almost speechless. We knew this, but now we know this. Durham says the FBI records prepared by Peter Strzok in February and March of 2017 show that at the time of the opening of Crossfire Hurricane, the FBI had no information in its holdings indicating that at any time during the campaign, anyone in the Trump had been in contact with the Russian intelligence officials. Durham says our investigation determined that the Crossfire Hurricane investigators did not and could not corroborate any of the substantive allegations contained in the Steele reporting. Let's stop there for just a second. The Steele dossier is the thing on which everything about the Russia collusion narrative was built. The Steele dossier is a collection of what turned out to be lies. It's just fiction, written by a man named Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele is a former British spy who was hired by Fusion GPS, an opposition research firm. Fusion GPS was in turn hired by a law firm that was hired by Hillary Clinton. It sounds like a convoluted chain because that's exactly what Hillary Clinton wanted it to be. She wrote in her campaign finance records that the money that she gave to this law firm that hired an opposition research firm that hired a British spy to write lies about Trump, she wrote that it was legal fees. She paid this law firm for legal fees. It wasn't legal fees. She paid this law firm to hire an opposition research firm in order to hire a former British spy to defame Trump. Not just to defame Trump. That would be gross enough, right? That would be like mudslinging, unethical mudslinging, just something that we would not accept. You would think we would not accept in a presidential campaign. But then the Obama administration took Hillary Clinton's lies and weaponized the government against Trump using those lies as justification, even though, what did Durham say? The Crossfire Hurricane investigators did not and could not corroborate any of the substantive allegations contained in the Steele reporting. Why? Because Hillary Clinton knew that Christopher Steele was full of it. The Department of Justice knew that Christopher Steele was full of it. The FBI knew that Christopher Steele was full of it. The Obama-Biden administration knew that Christopher Steele was full of it, just like we all do. But they abused their power and they targeted Trump using that as justification anyway. This is what Durham writes. Based on the review of Crossfire Hurricane and related intelligence activities, we concluded that the department and the FBI failed to uphold their important mission of strict fidelity to the law in connection with certain events and activities described in this report. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. You think that using lies to target a candidate for president of the United States who then becomes the sitting president of the United States in order to weaponize the government, to subvert our votes that put him in that position as president of the United States, you think that that's a breach of fidelity? Just a little tiny breach, a little tiny breach. Durham says the FBI personnel also repeatedly disregarded important requirements when they continued to seek renewals of that FISA surveillance, while acknowledging, both then and in hindsight, that they did not genuinely believe that there was probable cause to believe that the target was knowingly engaged in clandestine intelligence activities on behalf of a foreign power. So he's talking about Carter Page. They knew that Carter Page was not a Russian spy. Of course he wasn't a Russian spy. Obviously he wasn't a Russian spy. They knew this, and yet they repeatedly sought renewals of their FISA warrant applications because they wanted to spy on the Trump campaign, and Carter Page was their way to do it. They knew they were lying. So what I am describing is not just corruption. It's not just malpractice. It's criminality. Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.